All right, guys, my name is Lowell Pennock, and I'm your host. You have joined on with America's Home Place, Building on a Budget. And in this broadcast, we're going to talk about, and I'm going to take your questions and regarding common fears with respect to building a new home, especially or particularly on your lot. So if you have your questions, feel free. I'm in one of my offices in my showroom here in Alvin, Texas. I'm going to start waving to folks. I hope all is well with each of you. So if you have any questions, you can feel free to start typing them and sending them my way. If for whatever reason I'm unable to answer your question, I will let you know. Certainly don't want you walking away from this broadcast with not having the right information. So it's all about information. The more you know, the more you grow. So common fears. What are some of your common fears, or what are some of your fears with respect to, let's just say, building a house? You can start shooting those questions my way. I'm waving. I hope all is well. David, are you there? I think I saw David Dunn log on. Is HardieBacker standard at all of our locations? No. HardiePlank is actually a feature that's specific per each geographic location. So what I would suggest that you do is contact the the office nearest you and check out what their standard features are. Every office have different standard features. So great question though. Hang on, let me go back. So hopefully that answered your question, Miss Marissa. What are some of the fears that you have? What questions do you have regarding home building or building on your lot? Hi, Brooke, Murray. Hopefully you guys are getting these waves. Thank you guys for joining. All right. Well, let me tell you some common questions that we often hear. Is America Home Place a modular home builder? Hey, Marcus. No, America's Home Place is not a modular home builder. We are actually a custom stick-built board by board from the ground up on your land. Hang on just one second. I got a question. If you stay within the standard features when picking the finishes of your house, can you expect to pay close to what is listed on the site for your zip code? That's a great question. I believe that's Ratchy _ 102187. Again, pricing is specific per the plan that you select and the options that you select. And so on the front end, what we try to do is kind of outline out some of the features that you're wanting in your new home that's outside of our standard features list, so that we can give you transparent pricing as to the home that you want, specifically designed the way you want it built. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, yeah, and that's outside of land improvements, of course. Absolutely. Land improvements is site specific and region specific, so it just depends on what's all needed out there on your building site to get it ready to build on. Does that answer your question, Ms. Ranchi? _ 102187. Hopefully so. I'm waving some more. Send your questions, guys. Send your questions. This broadcast is for you guys to help educate you and address some of the common fears people have with respect to building a house, for that matter, building on your lot more specifically. Does AHP help potential buyers find land? Well, most of our locations have resources to help you find property if you need property, whether it be a realtor in the area or a website showing land for sale in your area. Here's what I'd like to also add, especially before you buy a piece of property. Always check with your local building office to make sure the property that you're building on can accommodate the plan that you're wanting to build. Most realtors, they're just selling land, not necessarily knowing all the parameters that it takes to actually build on that property. So it's always a good idea, and I always tell my clients, my customers, my potential homeowners, hey, check with us first before you submit a contract. Go ahead and send your questions. I know you guys got some questions out there. We're addressing today in our podcast or broadcast common fears. I'm just waving right now, just waiting on your questions. Just waving right now, waving at the folks. Thank you for joining. Thank you for following AHP on IGTV. Without you guys, we wouldn't be here. So we're here to service each of the communities that we build in and all the areas that we build in. Again, we're the nation's largest on your lot builder. Hang on. When weather delays the building process, does that add to the cost of the build? That's a great question. No, it does not. Obviously, weather is kind of out of our hands. So what we try to do during the construction phases is we accommodate for some of those days and we try to make those days up. But obviously, as you know, there's nothing that we can do with respect to the weather. However, it does not add to the cost of your build. The only thing that adds to the cost of your build during construction is if you are changing something that requires a change order. So, no, it does not, in most cases, add to the cost of your build. Great question. Another great question. Thank you for that. And let me add to that, too. We are a fixed cost builder. So once we lock in your numbers, your numbers are locked in unless you change something or request a change that constitute a charge. So, and obviously you want to check with your local office. And one of the ways you can determine which office can service the area that you're desiring to build in, you can head over to our website, www.americashomeplace.com, enter your zip code of where you're planning to build, and it will populate the nearest showroom to your property. So just wanted to put that in there, add that plug. Can I have a basement built in the mountain like a bunker? Well, I have an answer for that question, and hang tight. As long as your lot allows for it, we do basements. Now, I don't know what the bunker dynamic looks like. However, our office in Sunbury, Ohio, has basements that are actually included in their base price. So as long as the lot can accommodate it, I believe I can answer one of those. The first part of that question, yes, basements can be built. But as far as a bunker, I'm not necessarily too privy on what that looks like for you. But then again, you can always go to americashomeplace.com, punch in your zip code, and contact that office that's nearest you that's an expert in that geographic location. Hey, David. David Dunn has asked a question, actually a statement, then a question. He said, explain the construction loan process to some of these folks. That's the question I had when I started. Example, how the payments work and how much money do you need down to get the ball rolling. David is actually one of my homeowners, my brother now. He's actually building in Santa Fe, Texas. David, that is a lengthy explanation, but what I will tell you in answering David's question is the best way to find out how the dynamic of the construction loan process is to get in contact with one of our preferred lenders. Each of our offices have preferred lenders that we work with, and we believe in the integrity of the work, especially from a construction loan standpoint. There are a lot of lenders out there that will promise you the moon and not deliver. And so that's why we set up preferred lenders that are tried and true, and we trust them with your information and to process your loan on the front end to get the ball rolling. But it's not as complicated as you think. But the best way to find out is to inquire. And I like to direct you to our website, www.americashomeplace.com. Key in your zip code of where you're planning to build and speak to a representative, one of our building consultants in that office. We will definitely be more than happy to point you in the right direction. Thank you, David. That's a great question. I'm waving at folks right now, just waving and waving. Do you allow homeowners to do their own HVAC, plumbing, and electrical? That's a great question, actually. Again, we do have some buy owner features that we allow, but when you start talking HVAC systems, plumbing system, and electrical systems, those are kind of out of sequence and they require licensing. So the best thing that you could do is go to www.americashomeplace.com. And again, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but put in your zip code and speak to one of those building consultants in an office nearest your location. And they can answer that question a little bit more specifically. But that's a great question. That's for you handy people. I get it. That's a way to definitely curb cost. Thank you for that, Mr. Forrest. I'm waving at folks, and hopefully I'm answering your questions. If I do not answer your question or you don't understand my response, please type it in again, and I'll have to figure out a way to rephrase it to make sure that you walk out of here or leave this IGTV with a clear understanding of your question. Or the answer that I gave your question. How long will it take to build a house from start to finish? It's a great question. And when is the best time of the year to start building? I'm going to answer that question, the second part first. The best time of the year to start building is now. Don't ever wait. The market is always volatile. So if you were in my office, I would say the time is now. What will it take to start the process? Now, as far as depending on weather, we're anywhere between 4 to 6 months. So again, depending on weather permitting, anywhere between 4 to 6 months. So hopefully, Susie, I've answered your question, but I want to emphasize the best time to start building is now. Weather is so unpredictable, and meteorologists don't necessarily always hit the nail on the head when it comes to rain. So I would say if you're in the market to build, start today. Can I build on a half an acre? Well, of course you can build on half an acre. We build on 3/10 of an acre or a tenth of an acre. So you may want to just, again, go to www.americashomeplace.com, put in your zip code, get with one of our folks in the office nearest you, and check out those building codes. There may be some restrictions to the size of property that you need to build on. That I don't know because I don't know your geographic location. But definitely, www.americashomeplace.com, put in that zip code, and the office nearest you will populate. Get that phone number and make contact. That's a great question. Thank you. Do you make alterate? Of course. Ben, yes. We don't build our plans. We build your plans. We start with our plans, and we make it your plan. So absolutely, modifications are definitely something that we don't. I put it this way, Ben. We don't build two the same. There's always something different because people are different. Great question. Okay, guys, I'm waving at folks. Hey, staff, how you doing? If I had land, Hizrachi, hopefully I'm pronouncing your names wrong. Don't fault me, okay? I try my best to pronounce your names correctly. If I had land that only perks for a 3-bedroom house, but I really love a 4-bedroom floor plan, is there a way to get around that? Not have a closet in one of the rooms, call it a flex room instead. You know what? That's a clever way to to do a workaround. But what I would suggest that you do is contact a registered sanitarian in your area and ask him if that's something that you could do, and if that's something that can be approved there with your at the local municipalities. It just kind of depends. So that's a great question, though, and it sounds like a pretty good resolve to that dilemma. But I would definitely check with a registered sanitarian. Great question. Can we do small work in the house while under construction? Example, kitchen backsplash. Well, that's another great question. We do allow by owner items. I'm not specifically sure if that can be done during the construction phase. I would suggest that you contact the local office nearest your property. And if you don't know or you're unfamiliar with the office nearest your property, you can go to www.americashomeplace.com, drop in your zip code, and get that phone number. But that's a great question. Ray Chai, nickname for Rachel. Okay, Rachel. I like it. Very creative. Very creative. Waving at some folks. Come on, guys. Send some of your questions my way. Send some of your questions my way. We've heard questions, or we've entertained questions. Let's say, can ceilings be requested to be 12 foot high instead of 9 foot? Well, this depends on the floor plan, and it would be best, again, to speak with the local office about that option, and specifically because plans are different. And so structurally, sometimes you can make that request happen, sometimes you can't. So it just depends structurally whether you can or cannot do that. So please send your questions. Send your questions. Let me back up, see if I've missed a question or two. Rachel, hopefully I've answered your question regarding the 3 to the 4 bedroom perk requirement. And Matt, hopefully I've answered your question regarding the kitchen backsplash. Is it possible to build with a budget with a budget of 150 and have no land? Now, I'm going to have to ask you a question. When you say, is it possible to build with a budget of 150 and have no land? Can you tell me a little bit more about that? Are you wanting to build a house within $150,000 with land? That goes out to AOH_X3. So if you can tell me a little bit more about that, I can answer your question more intelligently. What if I want, not going to read that one. Oh, fixtures. Fixtures. What if I want different? Absolutely. Again, we want to build the home the way you want it, not the way we want it. And that includes all your fit and finish options. So yeah, if you want different options, that's a generic question, and I can give it a generic answer. Absolutely. If we can get our hands on it and we can get it delivered, then in most cases our trades can get it put in for you. Hopefully that answers your question. That's AM Pena 74. Okay, I got you. So, it just depends. It just depends on how much the property is going for. Geographically, I'm not familiar with where property values are or property prices are. But I can tell you who can help you, your local office. And if you go to www.americashomeplace.com, punch in your address and get that number and start dialing. We'll be more than happy to help field that question for you, AOH_X3. Man, these are some great questions, guys. I really appreciate this. I'm going to stay on here for a little while just to make sure that I can address as many people as I can. And hopefully you guys are walking away with a little bit more information as we address in our podcast or broadcast today, common fears. Common fears. Oh, you're so welcome, AOH_X3. Definitely. Great question, too, by the way, once again. Waiting on some more folks to come on in. We've had questions along the lines of, is it possible to use different plans and combine them? You know, we have a portfolio of plans, guys, that we start with that have been tested, tried, and true. And so the answer to that question would be absolutely, but it would be best to check with your local office. You're going to hear this. This is going to be kind of the motif because we have so many locations and they do so, you know, each of them do something a little bit differently. So www.americashomeplace.com, punch in that zip code and get the contact information to your local office. Got another question coming in from Rachai. Thank you, Mr. Ashlix, for your compliment. This is good stuff. I appreciate that. It's all about education. The more you know, the more you grow. And what we try to do here at America's Home Place is equip you with the information so that you can make an informed decision. That's what it's all about, guys. Is it possible to buy land and finance the building? Well, absolutely. I can answer that generically. Yes, it is. There are loan programs. They call them the one-time close. So absolutely. If you have a piece of property in mind and you want to roll it all in, absolutely. But then again, I'm going to tell you, contact that local office, get with that preferred lender so that they can educate you about the nuances to that process. But yes, in short, you certainly can in most cases. All right. Just waiting down here to see if we get some more questions coming in. Let's add my credit. You know, one fear that people have, quiet as it's kept, is I don't think I can get approved for a loan. So, what is my credit score supposed to be? Well, in most cases, lenders require 640, a 640 mid score of the 3 credit bureaus. However, it's always best to check with your local office and get in contact with their preferred lender to help educate you on what the credit requirements are, as well as the debt to income ratio requirements, so that you can get more information as to what it takes to actually build. You'll be surprised. Some people out there don't think they can build a house because they don't have the financial quality to build, and they actually do. So again, the best way to find out what you can do is to find out what you can do by speaking to the right people. And that's what we do here at America's Home Place. We point you in the direction of your destiny because we want to help and we want to be a part of that process of building your next forever home. Keep the questions coming. Is it possible? We've already talked about that one. How long does it take for my house to be built? Are you building a house with us right now or just a house? That's a great question, Justina _MIXDCHICK _KIN King. I got it. Now, typically, the weather permitting, anywhere between 4 to 6 months. So hopefully that answers your question, Justina. It's always depending on weather. It's one thing we don't have control over is the weather, but typically our process takes 4 to 6 months. Okay. Keep your questions coming. Keep your questions coming. Put it on the YouTube channel. That'd be awesome. Absolutely. I think so too. Here's another fear. I don't know what it's going to take to develop my land to build a house. And what are site improvements? What are land improvements? Well, in short, site improvements is the cost of is determined by the property itself. So a lot of times people say, well, I'm going to think about building a house, but they don't know what they're really thinking about. So the best way to think about something is to know actually what you're thinking about. And I'm going to point you to the website again, to get in contact with your local office so that they can kind of help put in perspective what it takes to actually develop your site from a land improvement and site improvement standpoint. Trust me, you'll be surprised. It's not as difficult as you think. Oh, you got an appointment in Cairo next week? Fantastic. You're going to be meeting with Miss Melissa Barnes, I believe. Well, we thank you for the opportunity, Justina. Awesome. Yeah, it goes pretty quick. It goes pretty quick, especially if we got weather on our side. I got another question from, I'm not going to try to pronounce these names. I guess Sani Kosa is building a house better than a. Oh, that's a great question. Well, I would say I'm a little biased. And I would say yes, building a home is better than buying or building or ordering a modular home, mainly because a modular home is still a modular home. And it really depends geographically, and I know it also depends on taste and preference. But my preference would be build a house and build it stick by stick. That's the best way to ensure that you secure your value. Because, again, you want an appreciating asset, not a depreciating asset. So hopefully that answers your question. For current homeowners like me, do I need to? That's a great question. Do you need to sell and move into? Well, it really depends on your financial statement. And the best person suited to answer that question in full detail would be your preferred lender. And what you would have to do is give them an opportunity to explore your financial statement, that's your credit, your income. And surprisingly, most people that own a current home and they're thinking about building, they got this lot, they bought it with the dream to build their forever home, they're in position to do it. But the only way you're going to find out if you can is to explore that option a little bit further. And again, you can get that information from one of our preferred lenders at your local office. And again, if you don't know who that office is or where it's at, www.americashomeplace.com. Punch in your zip code and get the contact information. We'll be more than happy to service that question in a little bit more detail. So, great question, though, by the way. Thank you for that. You're welcome, Sandy. One more question. Is it possible to get a house built with 2 master bedrooms and bathrooms? Because my mother and I are doing, oh yeah, we call those mother-in-law suites. Absolutely. I can answer that unequivocally. And I'm sure the Conroe team will be more than happy to show you how that's done when you meet them for your appointment next week. Lots of equity in the house, but need a place to live while the new... Hang on. Lots of equity in the house, but need a place to live while the new build is being done. Okay, is that your current living situation? Trust me, if that's what you have to do, the end result is definitely worth the sacrifice. It is. There's been people in your situation before that had to do the same thing, and I can tell you this: they're glad today that they did it. So hopefully that answers your question too, or my response to that comment is okay with you. Matthew, where do I go to apply for a job? I have a siding company. Great question. I'm going to send you to www.americashomeplace.com. Punch in your zip code and contact the local the office nearest you and speak with one of the production staff. Hopefully that answers your question, Matthew. We're always looking for great independent trade contractors to partner with us in our efforts to build quality homes. So absolutely. Bring in your questions. I'm waving at folks. Hopefully you guys are walking away with some good information here. If you have a land already paid off, can you use the land as a down payment? Man, that is a great question, and it's another lender's question. But I can attack this generically. In most cases, your land is collateralized to build the house. So it does, in fact, with most lenders, offset the need of a down payment. But I will caution you that it's best to speak with a preferred lender at your local office to get more specific details pertinent to your financial situation. So hopefully that helps. That's a great question. JOCHECN. We are on Instagram, TV, America's Home Place, broadcast, Building on the Budget, and today we are addressing common fears regarding building on your lot. So, man, we've had a lot of questions today, a lot of good questions. So hopefully I've given you guys great answers to those good questions. I'm going to give it a few more minutes to see if I can address a few more questions. Let me see if I missed any. None yet. Hopefully I waved to everybody and everybody is doing well this afternoon. I don't know where you're viewing this broadcast from, but I hope the weather is good. The weather is great in Texas. I can tell you right now, specifically in Alvin, Texas. Here's a question that we hear a lot. Can I bring my own plans? Yes, you can bring in your floor plan to our building consultant, and they can check to see if it's something we can build. If not, they'll try to match it as closely as they can to one of our tested, tried, and true plans. Now, again, I'm going to direct you to our website, put in your zip code, get the information of the local office that's nearest you, and they can specifically address that question, tailor it to your request. Waiting on some questions. We're going to give it another 5 minutes or 8 minutes. I want to make sure I give ample time for folks who are thinking about building to help address some of their common fears regarding building. We're talking about building on a budget. Do we have plans around the $175,000 range? I would say this: our pricing varies per location and house plan, but most of our locations do have several plans within that price range. And if you want to find out more, go to the website, drop your zip code in, and get the contact information of your local office. And I guarantee you we'll have a representative in that office ready to help explain how that dynamic works and to point you in the direction of the plan that works best within that specific price range. So got another 5 minutes. Hopefully everybody's doing well. And I do want to say regarding how long does it take, 4 to 6 months, this is once you get all the approvals complete to build your new home, we're like 4 to 6 months, weather permitting. What are some of your fears? I'm late to this, and this question may have been asked. No question. We don't worry about that. We're here to answer questions. But what is the average time frame for building the process from start to finish? Once you get everything approved, you stop tweaking the plans, and you're ready to break ground, we typically, within 4 to 6 months, and that's a great question, and thank you for that, 4 to 6 months, weather permitting. So hopefully that answers your question. So thank you. Desiring God, hello, how are you? Monica, how are you? Good afternoon. Thank you for joining this broadcast. America's Home Place, Building on a Budget, addressing common fears. Man, we're here to remove those fears, man, so that you can sit down and be comfortable, and we can just inject you with all the information that you need to make a solid decision regarding building a home with America's Home Place on your property. That's what it's all about. It says this, we've had this question before. If a floor plan is not available in my area, can it still be built for me? Well, most of our plans can be built in all of our locations with the exception of builds using specialty materials such as pilings. And pilings are typically built on a beach, coastal areas. So if you've had that question racing in your minds, hopefully that addresses that question for you. Come on, I'm taking questions right now, guys. If you got a question, please don't worry about it. If someone's already asked a question, that's so fine. We'll answer them again. We're here to equip you with the information you need to make a solid decision. That's what we're here to do. So I'm going to give it 5 more minutes, 3:40, and then we're closing out the broadcast until not next week, but the week after. We're going to try to bring it to you live as much as possible to help guide you guys into making an intelligent buying decision. So that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. Here's a question. Here's a fear. Are there any upfront fees to put it all together? Well, here's what we do. We offer free consultations at our local office. A deposit is required once you've chosen to build with us and have a plan priced out. I want to make sure you understand that. Once you have chosen, you've selected America's Home Place to be your premier builder, and we have a floor plan and a price. The deposit is to ensure pricing stays the same. So hopefully that answers your question or in the right light. Do you work with people on disability? Desiring God is queen, number one. That is a lender question. And I would say yes, lenders do work with folks who are on disability because that is a protected class. However, I will refer you to contact the local office nearest you. Go to our website, www.americashomeplace, it's America with an S, .com, punch in your zip code and get the number to your local office so that they can get you in contact with one of their preferred lenders. So, but that's a great question. Great question. How much is the deposit? It just varies per geographic location. Typically, it's $500 to start the process. Some offices are different. So I would caution you and advise you to contact the local office nearest you. www.americashomeplace.com, punch in your zip code and get that local phone number, and they'll be definitely happy to help answer that in more specificity. So absolutely. Great question, though. Great question. I will say this, though. One of the fears of building is fear itself. Don't allow fear to stop you. In fact, one of the worst things that you could do is make a decision stem from fear. What we're here to do on the front end, guys, is to help you, educate you in making a solid decision. This is a big deal. Building a house is a big deal. And I can tell you that the folks at America's Home Place realize that. And that's why we work together, not just us in the office, but you partnered with us to make this dream a reality and make this process as smooth as possible. I got Megan here. Are there ways to build the main floor of a home and later finish the upstairs portion? Absolutely. They call that unfinished space. Absolutely. And it's plan specific. And obviously you want to check with your local office. You can go to www.americashomeplace.com, punch in that zip code and get that contact information. And they'd be more than happy to answer that question in a little bit more specificity for you. But the short answer is yes. Yes, that's called an unfinished bonus room area. In fact, we have plans on our website that features that same concept. So yeah, absolutely. Take a look at it. Great question, Megan McLaughlin. Great question. I'm holding on for your questions. I got 1 minute, guys, and we're going to close this broadcast out. So, got 1 minute. I think I got all of them. Going back. Well, guys, this has been fun, to say the least. I want to say thank you for joining this broadcast on IGTV, America's Home Place, building on the budget, addressing common fears. We're going to bring it to you. We're going to bring up different topics. Again, this is all about education, and we're using social media to bring the information to you. So, and I'll end with this. The best thing that you can do when addressing common fears is to find out what you can do. And what you'll find is when we remove the level of uncertainty about building a house, you'll be able to move a lot. You'll be able to move freely through the steps of our journey to get your home built on the property. As always, guys, I thank you for your time. I close with this. Now, I know it's in reverse. You can't really see it, but I'm going to read it to you. We build the house. You make it home. Merrick's Home Place, building on the budget. I'm your host, Lowell Pinnock, out of Alvin, Texas location. Thank you for viewing, and I see you during the next broadcast. Take care.